So I asked you to prepare something, how to do something. So what do you want to teach our people today how to do?
Oh, man. Yeah, I spent months on this one, Brandon. You've had a lot of communication on this.
Tell me, what do you got, man?
So my
5 minutes of prep time before the show.
Yeah, my segment's going to be how to attract mentors. And as, fluffy as that sounds, it's the question that every single person that has
so important.
That's listening to this podcast. Yeah. Every single person, they say, okay, you're talking about finding your people and creating your vision. But like, even if I find the person, if I'm in the room with them, how do I get them to notice me? Why would they help me?
Yeah.
So here's what you do. So first thing you do, clarity. Step 1, get clear about where you want to be and who you want to be. Step 2, define that person. So you say, okay, like these are the character traits and the economical traits that person possesses. So like I said, the more specific you can be, the easier this person's going to be defined and the easier you're going to be able to get in their world. So for my example, I was like, I want to find people that are right now traveling and they're making like 8 figures while they're traveling. They can do it anywhere around in the world. I'm like, okay, where are those people? And I'm going and finding those people one by one. And so then what you do is you follow them and you start engaging with their content.
Follow them online or follow them in person?
Follow them in person for about 2 to 3 weeks.
Behind them and just
2 to 3 weeks.
Just
That's the sweet spot. As soon as their wife starts recognizing you, you got to run, brother. No, you follow them online and you start engaging. You make micro deposits. So you just show up, right? So if they post a podcast, you screenshot the podcast, you post it to your story, you tag them. Like small stuff like this. And this, I'm sure this has worked on you as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I can be even an example of that to a degree, sitting here.
You're here.
And so you do that, and then all of a sudden one day, they will have a problem. And what you're going to do is you're going to go solve that problem for them. You're not going to say, hey, what can I help you with? How can I add value to you? Yeah. No. You're going to go see that they have a problem. You're going to go immediately solve that problem for them. And so an example of this is I was just like, dude, I cannot get my freaking podcast to grow to save my life. Like, we are so stagnant for no reason, even though people are saying they're loving the show. Like, how could I get more listeners? And then this one woman just emails me and she said, hey, like, I worked for this podcast, and this podcast. Like, here's the SOP that I used. Hope you enjoy. I was like, I don't know who you, or I don't know where you're supposed to fit in my world, but I'm open to figuring it out.
Yeah.
And just because of that, like, proactive effort. So specific problem, you provide a specific solution. Or if you really want to swing for the fences, here's a really cool DM template / cold email template that I use. You say, hey, Brandon, I see you're buying mobile home parks. I also am buying mobile home parks. And even if you haven't bought like mobile home right now, it's like you could be in the process of it. And then you say, I'm having problems with this specific area 1, 2, and 3. Any advice on how to proceed?
Yeah.
The more specific, the more likely it is to answer.
That's so true. If somebody were to ask me, hey, I want to get into real estate, what should I do? I'm like,
I'm never going to reply to that.
Yeah, but if they're like, hey, do you know any good FHA lenders in Hawaii? I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'd probably talk to Bank of Hawaii. They do that. It's just like a very simple answer. Now I'm in conversation.
Bingo. Yeah. And then it shows that they're in the arena. Yep. They're already taking action.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they want. They have clarity. And there's somebody worth talking to.
Yeah.
And what you want to avoid is don't make that 4 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Make it 1 paragraph.
Yep.
Make it like 5 sentences. And the more succinct that you can be and the more specific you can be, if I'm great at anything, if I'm a master at anything, it's this. It's connection. It's networking. It's people. Like, I'm just a people person, like professionally. I'm a professional people person at this point. Say that 10 times fast. And it's funny because when I look at the guys that I want to be, Tim Ferriss, Joe Rogan, I look at those guys, and it's not only because of the money. The money is, you don't care about money after a certain point. It's their entire day job and their entire life is spent meeting interesting people and connecting with them at a deep level. And also, they have expertise mastery in really random areas outside of their craft. It's like Joe Rogan's like black belt, jiu-jitsu, and he's an expert bow hunter and all this stuff. That's something that I need to work on in my life. Is I'm like so laser focused on business that I'm like, how can I bring other things and become a master at those things as well? So if you just do that, and then when they give you an answer, document it and follow up with them. And say, hey, you told me about that realtor. I reached out to them about a house. Thank you. But, this is refreshing.
Yeah.
Something I said actually mattered.
It makes such a big difference.
Yeah. And then that's where the relationship begins. And if you could just continue that, normally doing that once is enough to kind of get a foot in the door. And then you just have to make yourself memorable at that point. But a good quote is, don't get ready, stay ready. Like, you have to be ready because when that door opens, you have to be ready to go through the door.
Yeah.
So even with this book, like me sitting here right now, you and I have known each other for a couple of years. We had a couple of interactions. We met in person a few times. I sent you an email that was just like, hey man, wrote a book, like love a blurb, like, and I'll shoot it out to my people as well. And then actually you ignored it for a little bit.
Did I?
Yeah.
I ignored 90% of mine. So.
And then all of a sudden it's just like, you're like, yeah, it was like a month. It was like a month before launch. You're like, yeah, I'll do it.
That's
and like, also come to Hawaii, like come on the show. And because I built my schedule and my life the way I have, I was able to draw. I was like, okay, I'm there. Give me a date. And I flew out here. And now I'm here for a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I was ready. I didn't get ready. I stayed ready. I've been ready for years. So whenever this comes up.
I'd love to know too. I mean, I wonder if is my phone on me? I'd love to know like what the original email said and why. Because I think it's a good point. Like I get hundreds of emails and was it DM or email? Do you remember?
Email.
Okay, let me just pull it up and see if I can find like.
It would have been like Brandon blurb request or something like that.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, I got you, Amy Porterfield, Mike McAllowitz.
Yeah.
J-Pop is on. Everyone that I asked said yes. That was pretty cool. You were the last one, man. Stingy.
I'm gonna find it somewhere here. My phone is just messed up. Hold on.
Yeah, it's blurb. If you type in blurb.
Yeah, blurb. There you go. There's when I was on your podcast. Hey guys, thanks again for coming on the podcast. Man, we've had a lot of interaction. There it is. Blurb request.
Oh, and that's another thing. I think I attached it to a previous conversation that we had to prove that, like, just remind you top of mind.
Yeah,
hey, I know this guy.
Yeah, we've talked before. Yeah.
Yeah.
It basically says, "Hey Brandon, hope you're doing well, buddy. Been fun watching you crush it. Proud to say I just finished my first book. There's more to life than land on beach. Oh, yeah, right. Proud to say I just finished my first book, and it hits on what you've mentioned in your content recently, quoting me. There's more to life than land on a beach after hitting financial freedom. So you were like, hey, I consumed your content. I read your stuff. You mentioned GoBundance. I'm going to be partnering with a lot of Go Bros to promote it. I'd be honored if you consider writing a blurb for me to throw that. Exactly. And so all of a sudden I'm like, okay, GoBundance. I got a connection there.
Mm-hmm.
I got a connection. Yeah, really good. And then like here's a summary of the book. That's it. Thanks, Brian.
And it's also, and that was also, people may be like, of course this person remembers me.
Yeah.
And it's not anything personal. It's just like when you're busy, you're really busy and you're meeting a lot of people. So every single interaction, with people that are like really, hard to get a hold of, you still want to drive the point home of, hey, here's the 3 ways that we know each other. And then bam, you're top of mind. Instead of just like, hey man, what's up? Like, of course we know each other.
Yeah.
And people do that to me too. I'm like,
Yeah, this is a really subtle thing, but I just noticed this as well, is your picture was on the Gmail, like on the email. Like there's like that little picture pops on the side. 95% of emails I get just have like a letter there. There's no picture. I don't know. I don't even know. There's probably some technical way to get that. Maybe you have it connected to your Gmail or I don't even know. But your picture was there right there. So it was like, oh, this is a person. It's a real guy. Like, oh, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
Versus like just a nameless like letter. So that's just like a really small tidbit to somebody, but that made a difference. Is I stood out as a real person. It wasn't the spam.
I am a real person.
Yeah, you are a real person somehow. All right, man. Question for you. So that was all the tips, correct? You got nothing else? Okay, so I want to move on to ask.
And then volume is going to be the next.
Oh yeah.
Just volume.
Do it a lot. Yeah.
Like shoot your shot, man. Yeah. And that goes back to that CVC I talked about: clarity, volume, consistency. Yeah. Like, are you clear about where you're going, what actions you need to take to get there, and then do enough of the actions. So, for instance, like with a book blurb, like maybe. Like I reached out to like over 5,000 people personally to promote the book, and I did it myself. Dang. Introducing struggle, I could have had assistants do that, and I don't think anybody would know the difference if that was to happen. But for me, I wanted to feel the suck.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send the messages. These are my friends. I've made deposits in them for years. I'm gonna make the ask, and so it's just like volume, right? And out of that volume, we've sold like a couple thousand copies. That's cool.
That's great.
More
than most people ever sell.
Step
for
one,
books. Yeah.
and then consistency. Like keep it up. Yeah. So maybe you need to send 100 DMs to your heroes, right, to get one reply. But just be aware.